The following bar charts gives information of market share of sneaker brands. Puma brand has 15%, also the Reebok has 15%, followed by Adidas with 25%. What's more, the highest number is Nike brand with 35% and the lowest brand is Under Armour of 10%. To sum up, the graph tells about the market share of sneakers brand.
This image is mainly about market share of sneaker brands. Firstly, the highest value of this image is 35%, 30%, and 25%. Secondly, the lowest value of this image is 0%, 5%, and 10%. In addition, it gives information about Nike, Adidas, and Puma brand, and it is also give information about Under Armour, Reebok 15%. And lastly, it shows different type of color like orange, white, and black. I think it is enough. Thank you so much.
The given bar graph gives us information about market share of sneaker brands. On y-axis, percentage is given 0, 5, 10, 15, 20. On x-axis, brand name is given is Nike, Adidas, Puma, Reebok. The highest value is covered by Nike, which is 35%, and the lowest value is covered by Under Armour, which is near about 10%. Overall, the picture exhibit the graph gives information about market share of sneaker brands.
This bar graph gives information about market share of sneaker brands. X-axis talks about brand whereas y-axis mentions market share in percentage. Firstly, it is evident that the maximum value is covered by Nike with 35%. Conversely, the minimum value was covered by Under Armour with 10%. Another interesting point of this bar graph is Adidas with 25%, talking about Puma brand covered 15% and Reebok covered 15% as well. To sum up, the bar graph gives information about market share of sneaker brands.
The bar chart represents information about market share of sneaker brands. The information was not only about Nike and Adidas, but also about Puma, Under Armour, and Reebok. The highest number is about 35%, which is related to Nike. The second highest number is about 25%, which is related to Adidas, followed by Puma and Reebok with 15%. On the other hand, the lowest number is about 10%, which is related to Under Armour. In conclusion, Nike stands out the most.
The given bar chart gives information about market share of sneaker brands for different brands including Nike, Adidas, Puma, Under Armour, and Reebok. Nike has the highest with 35%, followed by Adidas with 25%. Reebok comes next with 19%, while Puma holds about 19%. Under Armour about the 19% of the market share. In conclusion, Nike has the highest amount of the market share, while Under Armour the lowest amount of the market share of sneaker brands.
The image provided is a type of bar graph that gives information about market share of sneaker brands, while x-axis talks about brands like Nike, Adidas, Puma, Under Armour, and Reebok, and y-axis talks about market shares from 0 to 35%. It is evident that Nike is the highest, which is 35%. Conversely, market share of Under Armour is lowest, which is only 10%. Another interesting point is that market share of Adidas is 25% and market share of Puma is 15%. Overall, this image illustrates information about market share of sneaker brands.
The bar chart is about market share of sneaker brands. The y-axis is about the market share in percentage. As you can see, Nike experienced the highest market share, which is 35%. The second place comes to Adidas, which is 25%. On the other hand, Under Armour only 10% and Reebok only 15%. Overall, it's about the market share of sneaker brands.
The image provided is a bar graph that gives information about market share of sneaker brands. while x-axis represents the brands such as Nike, Adidas, Puma, Under Armour, and Reebok. Y-axis represents the market shares in percentage from 0 to 35%. From the image, Nike has the biggest percentage of 35%, while Under Armour has the lowest percentage of only 10%. Overall, this image gives important information about the market share of sneaker brands.
The provided image is a bar graph that gives information about market share of sneaker brands. X-axis talk about brand like Nike, Adidas, Puma, Under Armour, and Reebok, whereas Y-axis talk about market share from 0 to 35. Firstly, it is evident that the maximum value was covered by Nike with 35%, whereas the minimum value was covered by Under Armour with 10%. Apart from that, there is another interesting point, which is Adidas with 25%, including Puma brand with 15% and Reebok with 15 as well. Overall, to sum up, market share of sneaker brand is given.
The given image gives the information regarding market share of sneakers brand in the percentage. It can be clearly seen from the image that there are a lot of different elements present in this image, which are Nike, Adidas, Puma brand, Under Armour, and Reebok. The maximum value is for Nike, which is 35%, whereas the minimum value is for Under Armour, which is 10%. Furthermore, there are some different trends, variations, and numbers present in this image, which are 0 to up to 35%, 35%, 25%, 15%, 10%, and 15%. To conclude, the given image is very informative and knowledgeable and gives a lot of information regarding market share of sneaker.
Picture represent the information related to the market share of sneaker brand. As we can see, there are few brands mentioned in the picture like Nike, Adidas, Puma, Under Armour, and Reebok. And then there is a market share mentioned as well in percentage from 0 till 35. So the maximum volume can be seen with Nike with 35%, followed by Adidas with 25%, and then the others with like Puma and Reebok with 15%, and the least can be seen with Under Armour with 10%. So in conclusion, we can say the market share of sneaker brand mostly people like is Nike and Adidas, with the first two with 35% and 30%.
The given pictures information about market share of a sneakers brand, different fry of the sneakers brands. First is a Nike, which is a 0 to 35 percentage. The ratio is a 35 percentage among the another sneaker brands. Second highest is Adidas, only 25 percentage. Third is a Puma brand as well a Reebok. They both are similar, like a 15 percentage each. After the last is Under Armour, which is only 10 percentage among these brand. So we have idea how the Nike is among the highest in this among sneakers brand.
The line graph gives information about market share of sneaker brands. On y-axis, it can be seen market share percent 0, 5, 10, 15, 25, 30, 35. On x-axis, it is Nike, Adidas, Puma brand. Reebok, the highest value is 35% covered by Nike. The lowest value is 10% covered by Reebok. Overall, the line graph gives information about market share of sneaker brands.
The bar graph gives information about market share of sneaker brands. The x-axis of the bar graph represents the brands which include Nike, Adidas, Puma, Under Armour, and Reebok. The y-axis represents the market share in percentage which are from 0 to 35. Firstly, the value of Nike is 35%, followed by the Adidas, which is 25%. Furthermore, Under Armour contains 15% and Reebok consists of 15%. The highest figure in this image is consists of Nike, which contains 35%, and the lowest figure in this image is Under Armour, which contains 10%. Overall, the image gives information about market share of sneaker brands.